Hi cuties, welcome to Daily Dose. So today we're talking about a lot of questions that I didn't answer in the other Q&A video because this was a special video made by ShadowSiren88 who asked me a bunch of questions in her video, and I'm going to answer all of them right now. There's a lot, so I'm going to just go ahead and get started. What were some of your most difficult times in Japan and how did you deal with them? The most difficult things that I had in Japan were probably dealing with loneliness, especially when first getting to Japan and not knowing anybody. You can get pretty lonely pretty fast. But what I did basically was force myself to get out of the house and do stuff. When I studied abroad, it was a bit more difficult because that was my real first experience. And so for the first half of my year there, I was pretty much a hermit, and then I finally made friends and stuff. But forcing yourself to go out and do stuff, joining something like I joined Taiko or joining calligraphy classes or something like that. Going out and participating and making friends. Not necessarily going out and going to a bar, which is something I never really did. But going out, participating, getting in touch with, if there's an international club around your area, that really helped to get, more friends and stuff. So probably for me, loneliness was the biggest issue, and that's an issue that comes around for everybody. What were the situations? Were there situations? Sorry, I'm reading my own handwriting and I'm terrible. Were there situations where you met people that asked you really strange questions all the time? Not only getting asked strange questions, but also sudden statements that were just like, excuse you? Say what now? Strange questions being, asking why I look a certain way or why I dress a certain way, and just kind of, explaining that, this is how people dress, guys. So for example, my first Ankai that I had in Fukui, I was wearing a similar shirt to this, not this kind of stuff on the edgy here, but just t-shirt, short sleeve. Like, apparently this short of a sleeve is not so accepted unless it's a really, really hot summer in Japan. And also this neckline. A lot of Japanese fashion, and I know you're into fashion, ShadowSiren88. I'm just going to call you Shadow. A lot of their fashion, the shirts that ladies will wear come up to here, or their turtlenecks. So having a lower cut thing like this is considered, like, for me, this is just a normal cut. But for Japan, that's pretty scandalous. For that, I will talk more about that later because you have more fashion questions, but I'll finish that later. Also, another situation I was in was when I was on a bus. I was on a shuttle bus by myself with a bunch of other Japanese people going from a festival, and this lady standing in the aisle on the bus while I was sitting down grabbed my nose, and she's like, "Oh my god, your nose, I just want to touch your nose," and she keeps doing this to my nose, and I'm just like, I saw it. They didn't mean it insulting. They actually are envious of big noses like this, and I hate my nose. Look how huge it is. Oh my god, huge nose. Thanks, parents. They were just honestly curious about my nose, and so I answered her questions. A lot of people, like you said, say if you feel uncomfortable answering, don't answer it. And that's true. If you feel very uncomfortable answering, don't answer it. But sometimes they're genuinely curious because they just don't have the same exposure that we do to, people who look like us. And Japan is there's not a lot of the population of Japanese people in Japan is like 98% or 99%, and the other 1% is largely filled with Chinese and Korean and Filipino. So the percentage of white American people is really low, and even more going to African American people is even lower than that. So they're getting exposure to it, and they'll just want to unload all their questions on you sometimes. Some of them will be like, I don't want to be anywhere near you. Other ones are just like, tell me all the things. So that's something that happens, but honestly, it's genuine childlike curiosity, and so I oblige and I answer and burst their bubble sometime when they say certain things, such as, let's go on. Were the situations where you were uncomfortable because of cultural differences, like normal shops, and then all of a sudden there's like pornography there? Because I know I knew of the culture beforehand, and I knew that that was something that happens. It didn't really faze me too much, but when you're suddenly surrounded by all of that, I didn't really freak out. I just kind of went, and walked out again. Hi. My dog is licking me now. Hi, are you okay? She was taking a nap. Yeah, hi. Excuse you. Yeah, so I knew the stores. If they were that kind of a store, it's easy to recognize them based on their color patterns. Usually stores are covered all over in red and black. And they say they have DVDs and stuff. Do not go in that store, because that is a porno store. Yeah, that was probably one of them. Another one, a big one that's difficult for foreigners is onsens, where everybody gets naked. And I avoided as much as possible going to an onsen because I was personally not comfortable. I'm not comfortable in general with showing my body to anyone, let alone my coworkers, who are all tiny little Japanese women. So that was something that I was not comfortable with doing, and I did not do. So if you are uncomfortable with doing that, you do not have to go to onsen. When they give you the enkais and things, or the Bonenkai trips and stuff, and they're saying you're going to an onsen, if you do not want to go on that trip, guess what? You don't have to. You are not obligated to go, because also you'll have to pay for it as well, and it costs a lot of money. Those trips aren't free. And so if you're just like, no, I can't really afford it, you're good to go. Use the money as an excuse if you're just uncomfortable with going. So, onsen. I have gone to an onsen, and it was really uncomfortable for me. As soon as you get in the water, though, it's nice, because, onsen water, it's really nice. But then you look around, and it's just like, this is not what I do. This is not my thing. And then again, it could be your thing. You never know. I know some foreigners are just like, yeah, onsen are great, but those are the ladies who are a bit more comfortable in their own skin. Moving on, did you already know how to make your clothing before you went to Japan? Yes and no. The first experience I had with making clothes was in college, and that was making taiko uniforms for my group. So, and I had to learn quickly, and that was under the supervision of another friend of mine who was a much bigger expert on making clothes, and she taught me the very basics of it, and that was with a pattern. Now, all the stuff that I've made since then has been without a pattern, so technically, yes, I taught myself how to do it. Basically, my idea is just do all the measurements that you possibly can, that you think, and write out your own pattern and do stuff. I learned very weirdly, just completely using my own brain and thinking about all the math in it. So I did, in fact, do this on my own. I researched a lot, especially with like the potter robes, but the things like the skirts, I figured the skirts out for myself, just based on what a skirt looks like, and I thought about it, and then the skirt worked. This kind of stuff that I do here, I believe I saw a YouTube video on it, and that's why I learned how to do that. So I will probably make a fashion video, or making your own clothes kind of video soon, some point, probably next month, once Halloween and stuff is over. So, yes. So I did learn on my own. And you said you were wondering about sewing machines. Sewing machines are exactly the same. They're just in Japanese. And not even all of it. So I bought a sewing machine while I was there, and it was perfect, and I love it. I wish I took it home with me, because the one I have here is crap. And craft stores in Japan, if they have fabrics, yes, they have. There's fabrics. It depends on the one. The one I used to shop at is called Craft Heart Tokai, and it's a chain. So they have a lot of fabrics. Yes, you can find yukata fabrics, because I know you wanted to make your own yukata. You can do that. Also, just from my own observation video, I think you might be okay with buying a yukata. I think even if you say you're pear-shaped, I know a lot of girls with a pear shape that could find a yukata for them. You just have to look. But if you're dead set on making your own, which is totally cool, you can do that. They do have the fabrics in craft stores, but depending on your area, it depends on your area. That's another thing. So they might not have it, they might have it, but a lot of stores, in fact, do, and you can make your own. And they have patterns for it, because I want to make my own yukata as well. Maybe I'll make a video about making your own yukata. Who knows? Oh gosh, I gotta keep going. What were some misconceptions, stereotypes you heard about, encountered in Japan directed at you? Okay, they assume, for foreigners, usually they assume you're American. They assume that you like to drink alcohol. I do not. They assume you like to drink coffee. I do not. They assume you are loud. That is true. I am. They assume you are Christian. They assume you like Obama. They assume a lot of things. They take a lot of things at face value from what they're presented on TV, and your job then is to educate them. Burst the bubble on that going, you know what, I'm not this. And go on with it. And even if, or if you are, just like, yeah, I am, but not a lot of people aren't. So, just, there's a lot of things that, if they're generally assumed about America that you've heard here, it's probably even more assumed on a really basic level there that that's what it is. So, yes, that's what that is. Okay. Those were some of the basic stereotypes I could give you. Do they assume they know where you're from and immediately form an opinion of you? Yes. They will assume you're from America. If you are white, they will assume you are from America. Definitely they will assume that until you correct them. And they definitely form an opinion of you. It can be negative, it can be positive, depends on the type of person in Japan. If they're a more international person, they will assume a better opinion of you. Japanese people grow up, I wrote Japanese people grow up in you, so I told you the story about the nose. That's the biggest one. I've never had the ladies come up and, like, grab the ladies. But I have had many questions about your cup size and things, and especially my students being curious about that. What activities/rules when going to the beach in a swimsuit? Is the water really cold and stuff? I do not like going to the beach, body issues, but you'll find any swimsuit is fine. There's no rules on that. You'll find Japanese girls in bikinis and stuff. It's nothing new there. You can swim in the ocean. Well, okay. Hokkaido, it depends on your area. North, it's much colder. Further down south, from halfway through about, like Akita, it was, I went to the beach a couple times with my friends. I didn't go in the water, really. I stuck my feet in, but I have a kind of weird fear of the ocean. So, yeah, it's not that bad. People go swimming in the ocean all the time in Japan. It's a normal pathway, especially summer. But if you're more the Hokkaido area, I think that water's probably pretty cold, and you should not go there unless you have a wetsuit. What's what you're used to. So if you're placed up north, bring the wetsuit, or ship your wetsuit for you. If you're more down south, especially in like Kyushu, man, you can go in the ocean all the time there. Yes, and so there's no real rules. But I think the only real rule is just, pick up your trash if you have trash there. Does it take a month for stuff to reach you in the mail? It can. It can also take a week. It can also take 2 months. It depends on the season and how people send it to you, but yes, it can take that long. Okay, so I think I answered all your questions. If you have more questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Sorry this video is so long, but I tried really hard to speak fast and answer all of your questions. So, hope that helps. Cuties, if you have other questions for me, you can submit them via video form as ShadowSiren88 did. Also, you should go check out her channel because she has some pretty cool stuff. I was stalking you a bit there, and I subscribed to you. She has some really good stuff with fashion, cosmetics, and body image and stuff, so I like it. And you should go check her out. The question of the day is, oh my god, I didn't even think of a question of the day. I don't really have a question of the day today because this video is so long. I'm so sorry. If you have more questions, put them down below, and I will see you tomorrow, guys. Bye!